Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Ram Ram Raghunandan Ram Rama, Shri Ram Ram Paradagraja Ram Rama, Shri Ram Ram Shri Ram Ram Ranakar Kasha Ram Rama. श्रीरामचन्द्र चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीराम राम रघुनन्दन राम राम श्रीराम राम वरदाग्रज राम राम श्रीराम राम रणकर्कश राम राम श्रीरामचन्द्र चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये श्रीराम राम रघुनन्दन राम राम श्रीराम राम वरदाग्रज राम राम श्रीराम राम रणकर्कश राम राम श्रीरामचन्द्र चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये. Hare Krishna to everyone and welcome to Krishna Chaitanya channel. So today we will discuss every Monday we will discuss Srimad Ramayanam. We will learn about it. We will learn the pastimes, the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Ramchandra. Every Monday, we will in once a week, we had been distributed each of the videos of the series, like in Wednesdays and Thursdays, Bhagavad Gita as it is been said. Fridays, the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Saturdays, perfect answers for beginners, and now Monday. Sunday we'll take some break, and after that, Monday, we will come to Srimad Ramayanam. This whole cycle continues every week after week after week. So this happens every month. Approximately, we will give some 20 to 10 to 20 videos. We will say, and in this Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, and Krishna's Leelas, and the perfect answers for beginners. All these videos in each month, 10 to 20 videos we'll do. Sometimes it may be decreasing, sometimes it may be increasing. It is an average for me, 10 to 20 videos, we can do it. So, we had been completed our most pranams. Shri Rama Rama Raghunandana Rama Rama, Shri Rama Rama Varadakruja Rama Rama, Shri Rama Rama Ranakarkasha Rama Rama, Shri Ramachandra Charanam Sharanam Prapatye. So, let us see what happened last week or last week in Srimad Ramayanam. Srimad Ramayanam, last time we had been discussed about the introductory part of the Srimad Ramayanam, why Srimad Ramayanam is to be read, and why is Rama a human being or not, and all the other questions which has been coming from the people in general in this materialistic world. We know that the materialistic world is being ruled by all these three modes of material nature. So that's why all these types of questions are being said. So that answers should be also been said with a reply to these all questions. So we had in that introductory part, we had been discussed about all the questions, and after that we just touched the sea of the Ramayana about Valmiki's story. So now we will also describe today about Valmiki also, but a small part of the introductory part is also been mixed in this video. So today, Ramayana is being divided into kandas. So Ramayana has been divided into kandas. So in Srimad Ramayana, there are so many different types of kandas. 8 kandas are there. So the first one is Balakanda, second one is Ayodhya Kanda, third one is Aranya Kanda, fourth one is Kishkinda Kanda, fifth one is Sundara Kanda, sixth one is Sundara Kanda, sixth one is Yuddha Kanda, and after that, eighth one is the Uttarakanda. So we will just say back again. I think so. It's not 8, it's 7. 7 kandas. Balakanda, Ayodhyakanda, Aranyakanda, Kishkindakanda, Sundarakanda, Yuddhakanda, and Uttarakanda. So these are the 7 kandas of Srimad Ramayana. So this week we will describe about nothing but the Balakanda of Srimad Ramayana. So the Balakanda, Srimad Ramayana, it is also been divided into different types of parts. So in that, the first part is part 1, Valmiki. So the story of Valmiki, how did he started writing Ramayana, and what transcendental glories which eventually came. And Narad Muni, Brahma, the original living being, everyone, all the characters are being represented here. All the characters are coming here. So it is coming up, it's coming up. So until we complete this whole story of Valmiki, and after that, we will start the whole Balakanda. It's just another type of introductory part. So let us start our Srimad Ramayanam story. So, Hare Krishna. So, once upon a time, in a long time ago, there lived a great sage called Valmiki. It has been introduced like that. Valmiki was eventually explaining that he was explaining the nectar of Krishna consciousness to the group of all the disciples. So when he was explaining the nectar of Krishna consciousness to this group of disciples, the great sage Sri Narad Muni came. Who is Sri Narad Muni? Valmiki's guru. He eventually changed Valmiki, who was before Ratnakara. Ratnakara was at that time a hunter. He changed his total behavior. Narad Muni changed his total behavior from a hunter to Valmiki himself, to the author of Srimad Ramayana. Is this to never eventually being changing in this world? Now, see, in this world, if you take an example of an hunter, can he change into an author? Eventually, he can write. If he is educated, he can write, he can read. But his svabhavam, his behavior, can't be associating with this author behavior. But Narad Muni, with his beautiful behavior, with his beautiful style of teaching, he changed Ratnakara, who was before a hunter. He was never like an hunter. He was one of the cruel hunters. He changed the cruel hunter to the beautiful author of Srimad Ramayana, which is being now given from generations to generations to generations. When Narad Muni came into the kutir of where Valmiki was explaining about the nectar, who was always continuously, also he was continuously traveling the spiritual and material worlds. Also, he was glorifying the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when Narada Muni saw, and when Valmiki saw Narada Muni, Valmiki and his disciples immediately offered their respect obeisances. That's the main behavior. That's the first behavior of the Shishya given to Guru. Then, according to the custom, they bought Narada Muni into inside the kutir, inside the hermitage, and after that they offered Narada Muni an elevated seating place and washed his feet. And while washing his feet, all the disciples with Valmiki, they were sweetly inquiring about his welfare. That how is it? Are you nice? Are you good? Are you fine, O Narada Muni? They're respectfully inquiring about Narad Muni, not straightly saying that, are you fine? Are you nice? Not like that, not straightly. The behavior from Shishya should be always pure. Always you need to give respect perfectly. Don't always get angry, not in a angrily manner. You need to question. You need to first question with your pure heart, with your mode of goodness, You need to always give any questions are there to the Guru. Then only the Guru will have the thought to answer this particular question. So then Narad Muni got the elevated place. He got the elevated seating place, and the disciples, along with Valmiki, washed his feet, and he also getting sweetly inquiring about his welfare. So then this inquiry came when Valmiki said something. Onvasmin sampraptam loke gunavan kashcha viryavan dharmagnyascha kritagnyascha satyavakyo dridhavata चारित्रेण च गोयुक्तः सर्वभूतेषु कोहितः विद्वान् कः कश्च मद्दश्च कश्च कश्चैका प्रियदर्शनः आत्मवान् को जितक्रोधो दितिमान् को न सूर्यः कश्च बिभ्यति देवश्च जातरोषस्य संयुगे. So these are the combinations of slokas where Valmiki inquired about Narad Muni, that Valmiki said to Narad Muni that, "O best of all knows of truths, please tell me who present now on this material world, on this earth, is having a reservoir of all the opulences in full, all the 16 Kalyana Gunas, who is more accomplished, Dharmagnashcha, Kritaknashcha, Viryavan, Satyavako, Dridhavrata, all these Kalyana Gunas, who is accomplished, learned, powerful, noble-minded, truthful and grateful, and all the other opulences in full. He's floating in the reservoir of all opulences in full. Who is he? Anyone are there in this earth? Who is there present that is without an equal, clever, the most beautiful, and is never subject to the influence of anger and malice, yet instills fear with the hearts of even great demigods when enraged, who has the prowess to give protection to everyone within the three worlds, to whom as the goddess of fortune bestows all blessings. O great sage, please answer my inquiries fully." He ended with this combinations of shlokas, with this inquiry from from Valmiki to Narada Muni. So then Narada Muni, with his pure heartedness, he first eventually gulped first. When after this inquiry came, gulping means not that he was frightened and scared of this question. He enjoyed this question. He liked this question. And in that, he just gave this particular word, first gulping it. And then the great sage Narada, who is able to know everything that happens within the three worlds, replied, "O Rishi, there's an illustrious king by the name of Rama who has appeared in the royal dynasty of Ikshvaku as the son of Maharaj Dashrath. He's the embodiment of all transcendental qualities and possessor of all opulences. Rama perfectly controls his senses and is the master of all unlimited potencies. By just knowing about it, by just Narad Muni first seeing Lord Ramachandra, he had been given the beautiful teachings of Ramayana, the transcendental qualities of Rama, and all the transcendental pastimes of Lord Ramachandra to Valmiki. So then, when Narada then briefly described to Valmiki the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, he had also been said about his transcendental, physical, and spiritual body of how Lord Ramachandra looks. Rama has mighty arms that extend down to his knees, and his throat is marked with three auspicious lines, like on a conch. He has high and broad shoulders, a wide chest, a beautifully formed head, a graceful forehead, powerful jaws, and deeply embedded collarbones, and etc. All the others. Narada Muni finally he concluded by telling that now the same Lord Ramchandra Murti now rules over his subjects in a most righteous and exemplary manner. So he finally concluded that now Lord Ramachandra is ruling for 11,000 years before he completes his ruling years and going back to his supreme abode of spiritual sky, the Vaikunta. So he Narad Muni also said to Valmiki that what are the effects of the people who are there in this Rama Rajya. So in that he explained that during the reign of Lord Rama, no one would suffer from any disease or mental disturbance. Let it be a smallpox or let it be a coronavirus. No one will get suffered from this reign of Lord Rama, from this particular citizens who are there present in this Rama Rajya. Everyone within Lord Rama's kingdom would be happy and prosperous, never fearing with thieves, scarcity, or hunger. All the cities and villages would be filled with abundant grains, fruits, vegetables, and milk products. Indeed, the people would experience the same degree of pity and happiness that was exhibited during the Satya Yuga, the main and the most pious Yuga. There would be no natural disturbances like floods, earthquakes, or famine, and all the women would be chaste and never suffer widowhood. All the citizens of Rama's reign who are there in this Rama Raja happily they will chant the glories of Lord Ramachandra. They will always be happy and be disciplined. So that Narada Muni said like that. So after Narada Muni going to the after he completed all the inquiries of Valmiki Muni and all the disciples of Valmiki Muni, finally Narada Muni went to his own place where he always chants the glories of the transcendental Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ramachandra. He doesn't have any place. Everywhere he goes, everywhere he always chants the glories of Lord Rama, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then, after satisfying the inquiry of Valmiki Muni, which was for the benefit of the three worlds, Narad Muni went up again in his travels, spreading the glories of the Supreme Lord. So, when Narada Muni went back to his travels, the Valmiki went to the river Tamasa. It's a particular river called Tamasa with his disciple Bharadwaj, and he was journeying. He was eventually walking in the banks of the river, and finally, at a particular place in the banks of river Tamasa, Valmiki was meditating upon the words of what Narada Muni said upon the transcendental glories of Lord Ramachandra about his pastimes of Lord Ramachandra. So then, when he was meditating upon these words of Sri Narada Muni, sitting within this forest and the banks of river Tamasa, Valmiki happened to see a pair of cranes. He was seeing the cranes who were on the tree. They were both happily enjoying, talking each other, laughing, and always playing with each other. Both are like friends to friends. So then, when they were playing, they were standing in this tree. One malicious hunter of the Nishada race. There's one race called as Nishada race. appeared from his hiding place and killed the body. He pierced the body of the male bird, which led to fall shrieking on the ground. So when the male bird left his body, the female bird, which is also there, she was seeing that bird, and she was eventually cried out in terror, having suddenly been cast out from the heights of essential pleasure to the depths of despair. From there, she was always frightened. She was cried out, seeing this Nishada race hunter. So then, when Valmiki witnessed this, I hope everyone knows that Valmiki is a hunter. Valmiki is a hunter. Valmiki was a Ratnakara hunter, and he was no better than this malicious hunter of the Nishada race. He was too bad than the Nishada race. What he would do is that whenever he eventually throws the arrow and aims with the arrow to the to a particular animal, he first kills it half. First, when he kills it half, not fully. If it kills fully, nothing happens. The body is only there. The whole Atma goes back again. After that, it takes another body by the laws of nature, whether it is a human body or another animal body or an insect body. So, it's when it is fully killed, it is like that. But but Ratnakara, who is also Valmiki, he would eventually kill it half so that he would enjoy it, suffering from that pain. How can you give this difference of this malicious hunter of the Nishada race and Ratnakara? They are not same, but Ratnakara is higher, is badder than this malicious hunter. And that Ratnakara now is Valmiki. Well, Valmiki witnessed this tragic scene. Feelings of great compassion welled up within his breast. Considering the Nishada's violent act to be extremely sinful, Valmiki became angry on him and he cursed him. O killer of the birds, as punishment for your heartless murder of an innocent creature engaged in gratifying his mate, may you never find peace of mind for endless years. He cursed on him. So, the way Valmiki's curse came is in a form of a verse, a shloka. So then, Valmiki, after he gave the curse to that malicious Nishada hunter, he was feeling so ashamed on himself that I went to this malicious Nishada hunter with my full angriness, and I eventually gave curse on him. How am I thinking? I should be always peaceful, meditating upon Lord Ramachandra, the words of Sri Narada Muni. We would also get this feeling that when we ever always do any bad thing or fight against each others, we will eventually, after that fighting or any other incident, first we'll get this bhavana, we'll get this feeling that why I did this, for what reason I did this. Mostly to a Vaishnava, when he does something bad, that he thinks himself that what is this? Am I a Vaishnava or not? Vaishnava should be always peaceful, always disciplined, not like these people who always shouts, who always screams upon us. Even though they scream, leave it. But what did I do? I shouted on them. I screamed on them like them. And now I'm here to say that what is this? Just like that reason has been coming to every single person in this world. That thinking knowledge comes. And you know what are those words are? The super soul says to you that this reason shouldn't be done. So that pass this out. So that like that, Valmiki's super soul, the Paramatma, he sent this reason to Valmiki and he made Valmiki so confusing. When this curse completed its utterance, Valmiki felt a pang of shame for becoming a victim of uncontrolled anger. So when Valmiki also realized this another part, the shloka part, and he said to his Shishya Bharadwaj that from from myself, from my shoka, where you see, shoka means lamentation. From my sorrow came a verse of 4 lines. Each contains 8 syllables. From lamentation, from shoka, has come a long way per a verse. For without compassion, there is no possibility of genuine poetic expression. This eventually starts the emotional expression of the starting of Ramayana. So when this reason had been coming, when he said this to his Shishya Bharadwaj, that from this shoka, I got a shloka. When Valmiki was thinking like that continuously upon it, then Brahmadev came came where Valmiki was there. So then Brahmadev came. When Brahmadev appeared before him, Valmiki offered his respectful obeisances and he worshipped Lord Brahma as the universal grandsire. So when the Brahma started saying that, oh blessed that, oh Valmiki, oh blessed sage, please do not grieve by thinking that you have wrongly cursed this Nishada hunter. In truth, the words that you appeared to utter in anger were my own. They will speak through your mouths, and those are my words, for the purpose of inspiring you to accomplish a great task, to write Ramayana, the story of Lord Ramchandra. Indeed, the time has come to for you to compose the history of Lord Ramchandra's life. Great transcendental pastimes meant for the ultimate welfare of the world. So then he still continues that, my dear Valmiki, there is no cause for you to be anxious, for by the strength of my benediction, everything that is unknown to you in this transcendental pastimes of Lord Ramachandra will be clearly revealed within your hearts, so that when you compose the Ramayana, when you eventually don't get that, what is this happening here? Does this happen or that happens? When you predict about that, when you don't know about that, then straightly in your heart, within your heart, that clear a reverence will come. So, by my grace, by Brahma's grace, your narration of Ramayana will be faultless. So then, from then, Ramayana was being composed by Valmiki. So when Ramayana was being composed by Valmiki with 24,000 verses, so when he completed this epic poem with all the different kinds of kandas, he finally came and he was thinking that where it would be remain so that it could be preserved. So, where I can say to the other people, can I say to my disciples, or are their qualities fit for this Ramayana? Then he says to that. So, when he was thinking that to whom I should say, while Valmiki was thus contemplating, his disciples, Lava and Kusha, who were dressed as rishis, came before him and touched his feet, as were their daily custom. Sita had given birth to these twin brothers while in exile, and they remained under Valmiki's care ever since. So, when Sita Devi, when she came after the Yuddha Khanda has been completed to the Ayodhya Puri, he, she, she came, and one of the citizens of Ayodhya were been always doubting on her that is she really she is Sita or not. So, while hearing these words, Lord Ramachandra forced Sita to go on exile. So when Sita's forced exile, this Lava and Kusha came. So Valmiki, he was thinking that Lava and Kusha, although they are Kshatriyas, although they are the sons of Lord Ram, although they have the beautiful qualities of understanding this Ramayana. So then Valmiki said teach this beautiful entire Ramayana with great care. The twins commanded with entire text to memory, following Valmiki's instructions. They chanted Lord Ramchandra's wonderful pastimes before great sages, pious men, and to all over the world. Lava and Kusha gave under the instructions of Valmiki. So then, when they were eventually chanting the glories of Ramayana, they came to the place of Ayodhya. Ayodhya is a place where Lord Ramchandra rules his whole dynasty. So then, when he came, when they came to Ayodhya, Lord Ramchandra saw these two boys wandering through the city streets, dressed in garb of rishis. But they are in a form of Kshatriyas. So, Lord Ramachandra, he eventually invited them to understand the beautiful Ramayana, their story, their own story. They want to just take some break, just put the other words on the other side, and they want to bring this Ramayana in the first side. So Lord Rama took great pleasure after inviting them to his palace to recite the Ramayana. So then, when the after they received the twin sages, Lava and Kusha, and they invited he invited them into the royal assembly. Lord Rama observed these boys. Although they are ascetic brahmanas, they had the features of kshatriyas. Rama now started announcing when he brought Lava and Kusha to the royal assembly that, "O best of the King Raghu's dynasty, please listen to this wonderful narration. Although these two singers appear like ascetics, they have the marks of they have the marks of great rulers. So Listen to this story because it is full of literary beauty and has universal appeal. So when Lavakusha started their narration of Ramayana, Rama and his brothers soon forgot everything else. The rule, Ayodhya, Kosala dynasty, everything. And they finally absorbed in hearing in the beautiful Ramayana, the story of Rama. It has been said by our acharyas that all the bonds of the material existence can be easily cut down just by simply chanting and hearing the Lord's glories. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So today we completed the part 1, Valmiki. In the next week, we will complete the second part also. Until then, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त वृंद की जय। श्रीमद् रामायण की जय। रामचंद्र प्रभु की जय। श्री श्री सीता रामचंद्र भगवान की जय। जय जय श्री राधे श्याम। हरे कृष्ण।